Amtrak recently did something that surprised many. It decided to keep a train line that was considered small and overlooked in its massive network. The question is, can such a humble train really make a difference for American rail travel? I'm talking about the Heartland Flyer, the train that connects Oklahoma City and Fort Worth. And while it has never been considered the star of the Amtrak system, it now has a chance to prove its worth as ridership continues to grow and the need for regional connectivity becomes more apparent. That's the current landscape, where the Heartland Flyer still struggles between its small role and its great potential. Follow us. We're on the trains team. First, let's take a look at the current state of the route. Current background. First of all, to understand why the Heartland Flyer is so special, we have to go back to the late 70s. At that time, Amtrak cut the Lone Star Line, the only train that ran across Oklahoma, and the entire state was no train for more than 20 years. People had no choice but to take buses and planes to travel far away. It was not until 1999, thanks to the supply from Oklahoma and support from Texas, that the Heartland Flyer was declared. The route is not long, just over 200 miles reconnecting the rails from Oklahoma City to Fort Worth. Although there is only one round trip per day, travel time is about 4.5 hours. But for the people here, it is like an open door to reconnect with the interstate train system. For many people, it is truly a new wave, bringing passenger rail back after more than 2 decades of absence. It clearly serves a connecting role, but is still underfunded. Then in April 2025, a shock came. Texas refused to approve a $7.05 million grant for 2026 to 2027. Under federal law, short-haul routes like the Flyer require states to share the cost with Amtrak. So when Texas refused to chip in, Amtrak was forced to announce on June 5, 2025, that the service would be suspended from October 1, 2025, unless a replacement was found by June 30th. Fortunately, things have turned around. On July 10th, the North Central Texas Council of Governments approved a $3.5 million toll relief package, keeping the train running until at least 2026. And then, on August 21, Amtrak officially confirmed the Heartland Flyer will continue running, affirming its important role in community life and even major events like the 2026 World Cup. To this day, the Heartland Flyer remains a small but important link between Oklahoma and the U.S. rail network. So how did it get this return ticket? Could it mark a turning point for rail service in the South? Find out more in the next section, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily train updates. Why Heartland Flyer survived? First, it is an indispensable rail connection. It connects Oklahoma City to Fort Worth, from where passengers can take the Texas Eagle to Chicago or San Antonio, or the Sunset Limited to El Paso and Los Angeles. If it were to disappear, all Oklahoma commuters would lose their gateway to the national Amtrak network. Second, the Flyer is more than just a rail connection. For years, the Kansas Department of Transportation, the Department of Transportation, and the Northern Flyer Alliance have been lobbying to extend the rail line north to Newton, Kansas, where the Southwest Chief runs from Chicago to Los Angeles. If the project is successful, the Heartland Flyer would become a trans-regional corridor, completely changing the way people in the Midwest and South connect by rail. Economically, the numbers make it clear. In fiscal year 2024, the Heartland Flyer will carry approximately 80,000 passengers annually, an impressive 11% increase over the previous year. This rise in ridership reflects its practicality for commuters and students, and its growing popularity among leisure travelers curious to explore Oklahoma and Texas without the stress of driving. That number may seem modest compared to national Amtrak routes, but for the communities along the corridor, it translates into meaningful economic activity. Visitors stepping off the train contribute to local tourism, spend money in restaurants and shops, and help sustain jobs tied to the travel economy. And we have a specific number to approve that. It generated $2.2 million in fare revenue and more than $23.7 million in economic impact for the region. Fort Worth alone has a $3.5 billion tourism economy that benefits significantly from continued rail service. Amtrak is also investing more than $63 million in ADA station improvements at 16 Texas stations. strengthening the state's passenger rail network. Losing this train line is like losing a vital link. Furthermore, it has the unique appeal of connecting mid-sized communities to larger metropolitan areas. This allows small, vibrant communities to benefit from business and tourism. Not only that, inside the train, passengers enjoy a comfortable and convenient space with spacious seats, ample legroom, and a cafe serving snacks and drinks. The train is even pet-friendly, making it one of the most travel-friendly regional services. In short, although its role is underappreciated, Heartland Flyer plays an important role in connecting communities in the Mid-South region, supporting local economies and creating a comfortable, friendly experience for passengers, especially in the context of increasing demand for sustainable travel and regional mobility. Finally, timing is important. The Dallas-Fort Worth line will host more 2026 World Cup matches than any other city in the United States. With travel expected to increase dramatically, keeping the flyer running is essential to ease traffic, increase travel options, and help Texas deliver a world-class fan experience. All of these factors combined have forced Amtrak and its partners to find the funding to keep the flyer running, rather than let it close as planned. Amtrak's new announcement, not only stopping at saving this train line from the risk of stopping. This time, Amtrak clearly said they want to expand and upgrade the service. The most notable point is the plan to extend the line to the north. If implemented, the flyer will connect directly to Newton, Kansas, where the Southwest Chief Station is located. Thus, instead of having to change trains or transfer to other means of transport, passengers from Oklahoma City can take just one ride to go straight to Chicago in the north or Los Angeles in the west. This is considered a turning point, turning the flyer from a modest train into an important link in the national rail network. In addition to expansion, Amtrak is also considering increasing the frequency of operations. Currently, the flyer only has one trip per day, meaning passengers have almost no choice of time. If there were more morning and afternoon trips, for example, travel would be much more convenient, suitable for people going to work, going to school, or traveling. Regarding resources, Amtrak said they are working closely with 3 states: Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. The goal is to take advantage of federal funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This could be a great opportunity for the Heartland Flyer to escape the situation of having to live off each year and move to a long-term development plan. Importantly, this is the first time in many years that Amtrak has officially announced a real upgrade plan for the flyer. Until now, this train has only been kept alive, running a modest trip every day. Now, the people of Oklahoma and Texas have the right to hope that the flyer will become a train line that not only serves the local area, but also connects the whole region with major cities in the U.S. Background. Let's go back to the 1970s. Back then, the Quad Cities, Moline, Rock Island, Davenport, and Bettendorf, was a bustling metropolis on the Mississippi River, with nearly 500,000 people and a bustling train station. Every day, the legendary Rock Island Rocket, or the Muffin Train, rolled from Chicago to Moline, then on to Colorado. People still remember the red-tiled roof of Geneseo Station, where passengers stood crowded together. But then, in 1978, it all stopped. Rock Island lines went bankrupt, the rocket disappeared, and since then, Quad Cities residents have not seen a train. They had to drive more than 2.5 hours along I-80 to Chicago. For nearly half a century, the sound of rolling steel on the tracks had not returned to this land. Then, in 2007, a ray of hope appeared. Amtrak announced it would bring trains back to the Quad Cities. A completely new line was drawn up, about 160 miles long, between Chicago and Moline. Trains would run twice daily, traveling on BNSF tracks to Wyanett, then continuing another 55 miles on the Iowa Interstate Railroad, or IAIS. The route is designed to have 8 stops. By 2018, the Moline interchange was completed, spacious and modern, just waiting to welcome the first train. But instead of the train whistle, the place fell silent. The cost of the project seemed modest, about $23 million for infrastructure improvements, plus $6 million for operations. But just a few years later, the money poured in. The federal government poured in $230 million, then another $177 million in economic recovery funding, The state of Illinois contributed $78 million, and Iowa chipped in more than $20 million. The total commitment is more than $600 million, a sum large enough to make many believe that the train's return to Mississippi is imminent. Initially, Amtrak planned to depart in 2015. Then it was postponed to 2024, then again to 2027. But in truth, no one was sure when the train would actually leave the station. The problem lies in a 50-mile stretch of track between Wyanett and Moline, owned by the IAIS. This is the final stretch of the line and the bottleneck that has stalled the entire project. For years, negotiations between IAIS and IDOT have been deadlocked. The two sides have failed to agree on the scope of the upgrade, the infrastructure standards, and most importantly, the cost to meet federal passenger train safety requirements. So, despite the new station, investment money, and political support from both parties, the project remains at a standstill. So what has stalled the Quad Cities train dream? The answer will be in the next part. Remember to register so you don't miss this journey. Drama and deadlock. A major bottleneck was the negotiations between IAIS and the Illinois Department of Transportation had been deadlocked for years. When Bruce Rauner became governor of Illinois and Terry Branstad took over Iowa, the deadlock became even more pronounced. They argued the project was too expensive and not worth hundreds of millions of dollars. IAIS called for costly upgrades, signal replacements, resurfacing, modern control equipment, and a $6 million connection at Wyanett. IDOT argued the cost was too high. IAIS argued that trains couldn't run safely without it. Neither side would budge. But the impasse isn't just about politics or money. The real problem is the infrastructure itself, most notably the aging Rock River Bridge near Moline. This relic of the Rock Island Railroad era is in serious disrepair. Engineers say it's snapped, a frightening image that presents serious safety risks for both freight and passenger trains. The total estimated cost of replacing the bridge and all the necessary upgrades exceeds $800 million. IDOT argues that the costs are too high, while IAIS counters that Amtrak can't operate safely without them. Passenger trains alone don't generate revenue for freight rail, so without a solid financial plan and guarantees, IAIS has little incentive to take the risk. Meanwhile, time is ticking. The $177 million federal grant approved in 2011 expires at the end of 2019, and there it sits, a promise frozen in time. Yet the city isn't giving up. The funding deadline is looming, and residents know something has to change. So the big question is, how can they keep the dream alive? Amtrak's hope for a return. The approaching deadline added to the pressure to speed things up. IDOT had no choice but to explore every possible way to keep the project alive. They started looking at alternate routes that might speed things up while sticking with the original Chicago Quad Cities plan along IAIS tracks. Another heading through Galesburg to Kelowna and the Quad Cities via BNSF. And a third option stretching from Galesburg to Barstow and then Moline, also on BNSF rails. On paper, those detours sounded promising. They could shave off time and push construction faster. But they came with a cost, and not just in dollars. Communities like Geneseo had already poured their hearts, plans, and millions of dollars into this project. Since 2017, they've cleared land, closed crossings, and built around the idea of a passenger stop coming their way. If the route changed now, all that effort of nearly a decade of preparation would go right down the drain. And then, in 2025, something finally shifted. Hope came roaring back. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker stepped up with a massive $50.6 billion infrastructure plan, the biggest in the state's history. And guess what? Nearly $389 million of that is going straight into rail. It's a huge move, and for the Chicago Quad Cities line, it could be a total game changer. Sure, there are still plenty of obstacles ahead: ongoing talks with Iowa Interstate Railroad, concerns from the Chicago Area Transit Authority, and layers of approvals and funding timelines to navigate. But this time, the momentum feels different. Local leaders, unions, and small business owners in Rock Island County have joined forces, forming a brand new action committee dedicated to one goal: getting the train running again. You can feel the energy building. If everything stays on track, Amtrak could finally roll through the Quad Cities again. For the folks in the Quad Cities, waiting for this train has been a real test of patience. Decades of promises, pauses, funding battles, and politics, and yet the dream still lives on. So where does it all go from here? Will they finally see that long-promised train glide through Moline? Or will this become just another story of big plans and broken dreams? And now, with the 2024 election behind us, the stakes are even higher. Will new policies and priorities keep the funding coming, or will Washington once again pull the plug? Nobody really knows. It could go either way. But here's the thing, hope is still alive. The money's on the table, the station's ready, and the people haven't given up. Maybe, just maybe, this time the Quad Cities will finally hear that whistle again. What do you think? Are we looking at the long-awaited comeback of Amtrak or just another round of political drama on the rails? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from On the Trains. See you in the next one.